Welcome to Adam's Athenaeum. Let's take a look together through the news and records of our times as we try to shed light upon the unvarnished truth. Thanks for coming back today to listen to this episode about the real cost of inflation. Gas prices keep getting higher. Biden has us use oil from our strategic stockpile to help fight rising costs that he and his policies have caused. So gas prices temporarily go back down. He then defers to OPEC for oil imports and buys oil for America from other countries. I don't know if this idiot knows anything about how to run an economy, but maybe if he hadn't shut down our own American pipelines, allowed others to be closed, or did nothing to improve cybersecurity for other pipelines, which allowed them to eventually be closed, we wouldn't be playing the up and down game with gas prices. If this daft duck sitting in the president's office actually understood how to make nothing else work besides lowering gas prices effectively and efficiently, he would have let our pipelines, one of which would have been emissions-free, operate freely and unimpeded by far-left radical policies. And I get it. Oil can be dirty and lead to huge wildlife disasters, but wind and solar will not effectively give us the power we need as a country. So our only other power alternative is nuclear energy. I'm more okay with nuclear energy, although I can't fully endorse nuclear energy either, as we don't have sufficient, reliable, and fail-safe ways to dispose of the radioactive waste. So in other words, we're kind of stuck with oil, at least for now. So while we're stuck with it, why don't you follow the most common sense way to produce your own oil and thus effectively lower the cost of gas? If you can't tell, I don't have a college degree in the economy. I'm not an inflation or data analysis expert. I'm simply a guy on the internet using as many resources as I can, along with common sense, to find out the truth. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how to fix just the gas issue, to some extent. But if I can figure it out, yet our whole presidential administration can't get their heads far enough out of their ego and social justice bubbles to see their way out of the hole that they have dug for themselves, then I have little hope for the next 3 years of the Biden presidency. While coming up with how I wanted to write this episode, Glenn Beck, who is one of my favorite podcasters and someone I learned of through my dad, he came out with a clip on his show, The Glenn Beck Program, which can be found on Blaze TV or on YouTube, titled CEO Explains How Government-Induced Inflation is Ruining Us. Let's go ahead and listen to what he has to say, and then we can talk more about what that means.
And the inflation is transitory. That's bullcrap. Wages are up 4.6% from this point last year. Okay? So if you're going to work, your wages may have gone up by 4.6%. However, the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey found that housing, which accounts for 1/3 of the average household's budget, 1/3 is up 20% from last year. Transportation, your fuel, is up 60%. Now, that's no small thing with the average household spending 16% of its budget on transportation. So already 16% of your budget is gone, and fuel is up 60%, and your home is up 20%. Food, which makes up 13% of the average family budget, is up 5.3%. Personal insurance and health care easily eat up nearly a fifth of household budget. They are up 8%. Clothing is up 3.1%. The average budget, 4.3%. All in all, this means that the most necessary 85% of the average family household budget has costs 21.7% more than last year. And 62% of that budget goes to food, shelter, and transportation, and that is 27% higher. I don't think your 4.6 increase of your paycheck covers a 27% increase on the things that make up the majority of your budget. Do you?
All right, This video by Glenn was important to me because I have a raise review coming up soon at my job, and I work for a corporate type company who uses a recognizable pay scale structure. Basically, if I do what is needed skills wise, and I'm always on time and do everything I can and more, and if I receive a perfect score, it means I'll be eligible for the maximum pay percentage increase, which at every company I've worked for who does a pay increase this way, it means you will get a whopping 3% raise if you are the best at what you do. Any less, and you're looking at maybe a 1 to 2% raise, you might not even get a raise. What does this mean for your paycheck? Well, if you make around $23 or less an hour, then the best raise you can hope for would be 50 to 75 cents. So a 3% raise, or as some companies have started to do, perhaps a 4% raise, this sounds kind of crap. But let's see how that will stack up against the current inflation rates as detailed by Glenn Beck. The bills we all have that cannot be changed, delayed, paid late, but in fact are always recurring, such as gas, food, rent, and utilities, have all gone up a combined 27% in the last year. That's a difference of negative 23% at best. I'm going to be a bit hyperbolic here, but if your employer offers you with a smile on their face and the look of utmost sincerity, offers you a raise of 3 to 4%, no matter the dedication and work you have given to the company, they are metaphorically spitting in your face. Some employers will call an annual review and raise period a cost of living increase. Screw you. Unless we're talking somewhere closer to an increase of 15 to 20% in my salary, then you are lying to my face about raising my wage for the cost of living. These are bills I can't get lowered, that I can't avoid paying, and if you've been paying attention to the economy, the president's actions and his goals and ambitions for the Democrat/Progressive Party, then you cannot possibly believe that this inflation crap will get any better before the end of his presidency. So we're talking about you raising my wage for a 1-year period, when economically we will be in the same boat or worse for the next 3 years. And if 3 to 4% is the best is the best raise that you can offer, then so long, buddy. I respect myself, my work ethic, my hours spent, and my time off, more than your insult of an increase. I would literally lose money, as would you, by taking this little of an increase in pay. It would almost seem like time wasted for money lost just to continue working at that rate. If any of you need my video segment to argue for a pay raise, please do so. We've now covered gas and job wages, so let's jump onto the rising cost of groceries. I don't like to use the mainstream, legacy, corporate media sources in my episodes because I don't want to support them. However, in my line of work, I also can't ignore what the other side says. So let's head over to the New York Post to see how they have summed up how inflation will hit food prices in an article titled, "Food Prices Are Reportedly Expected to Rise Again in January." Lisa Fickenshire writes, "A fresh wave of supermarket price hikes is expected to begin in January, raising prices anywhere from 2% to 20% on a slew of staples, including pasta, condiments, soups, cookies, produce, dairy products, and meats, according to a report." And continues in the article, "Persistent supply chain disruptions and increasing labor costs are a major factor in the increases. Kraft Heinz, which makes Oscar Mayer lunch meats, Kraft macaroni and cheese, and Jell-O pudding, told retailers it is planning to raise prices on some items by as much as 20%, according to a memo viewed by the paper." Her article later continues, "The average price increase on Kraft Heinz products will be 5%, the company told the Journal, adding that some products like Grey Poupon mustard will increase by 6% to 13%, because its production costs have risen by 22%. Mondelez International, which makes snacks including Oreo cookies and Ritz crackers, will increase prices by 6% to 7% in January, the company said last month." And again later in her article, "The Food at Home Index, which includes grocery stores, rose 6.4% over the past 12 months, with proteins including beef, poultry, fish, and eggs increasing by nearly 13%. That wraps up groceries, gas, and job wages. As you can see by the data, prices are going up across the board. A myriad of reasons lay behind this. There's supply chain issues, trucker shortages, labor shortages, increasing government regulations and control. But what do these categories all have in common? You need your wage to afford gas and groceries. And we didn't even touch on rent. Do we really need to? Rents are going up across the country. They always have, and they always will. So between rent, gas, groceries, and job wages, how do you intend to break even when it's time to pay the bills? Do you really think your whopping 4% pay increase will cover the groceries you need? Perhaps, but it won't also cover your rent increase, gas increase, and utilities increasing. You will lose money in the future. Your savings accounts will be depleted. I'm not making any guarantees, just a prediction based on what our president's economic plans are. Companies are planning ahead for the future and saying that we have to raise prices now to sustain ourselves in the future. It's similar to how the government is planning for the COVID-19 pandemic to continue through at least 2024. And I'm not lying about that. From thedailymail.com, Biden signs a $137 million deal with German pharmaceutical company for COVID test strip factory that will take 3 years to build and will start producing 83.3 million tests a month in late 2024 at the earliest. It doesn't make sense to me that you can plan for inflation unless you know when it will end, how it will end, and you have to have some chips in the game to make decisions for tentatively an uncertain future. It's odd to me that a medical disease which is new to us is being planned out to be around for the next 3 years. Australia has quarantine camps being built that won't be completed until sometime in 2023. We are stuck in a pandemic as we are stuck in this inflation period. The way I see it, there's one way forward. Vote this November. In my opinion, vote out every Democrat you can besides perhaps Joe Manchin, as he seems to be the last principled Democrat remaining in Washington. Vote out every cowardly Republican who does not stand for the Constitution, freedom, democracy, and your God-given rights. Vote out the incumbents of either party. I don't care which party you vote for. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for or how to vote. I will say, however, that I will be looking for more of a libertarian candidate in races. The Democrats are too far left for me, and the Republicans are nothing more than a speed bump for Democratic policies as their own ideals and opinions consistently slide further left over time. So I need a candidate more in the middle that I haven't found yet. I would honestly be intrigued to see a figure like Michael Malice run for president. He's a true anarchist, and not in the crazy sense. I doubt he would ever run for the presidency as it goes against anarchist principles, but he has a clear view of where the government and political parties have helped to fracture America. And he does sometimes make very rational points about how to deal with it. He may not always be right, but he has a great mind. And even if he did run for president, I still wouldn't vote him in based on my principles, but I do not want another crony establishment shill in the White House who only serves the purposes of the elites in Washington. And that's where I'll leave today's video. If I left out any pertinent facts, please add them to the comments section. If you like my video content, please share my video with any and all of your friends and family. Don't forget that I post every Thursday morning, so subscribe to my channel if you want to keep receiving great truths arriving at your video doorstep. I hope to see you all next Thursday. Have a great day.